have nisyonis. And the reasons there are dark times, that in itself is the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu is revealing himself to us, because he wants us to grow.
Wherever you get your podcasts from, or our own website, prismoftorah.org. This is the Prism of Torah with Rebbe Prisman.
Shalom Avracha. In this week's Parsha, Parshas Behaaloscha, I'm going to try to make it short, quick, impactful, and to the point. There's an amazing Nesivos Shalom that I want to build upon on this week's Parsha. What seems to be an innocent Parsha is something that I think we can learn a lot from. It says, when the Mishkan was put up by Moshe Rabbeinu, it says, Uvayom hakim et Mishkan. On the day Moshe Rabbeinu created the Mishkan and put it up, which by the way is very interesting, it doesn't mention Moshe Rabbeinu, it just said it was put up. Uvayom hakim et Mishkan. There was a certain cloud that was hovering immediately over the Mishkan. And the question begs itself, what significance does this have? We know the Torah is infinite wisdom, and there must be a reason over here. It continues to say that at night there would be a fire. Uve'erev yeh Mishkan. On the Mishkan there would reside a fire at night until the morning. What's the significance of the fire? Another question. It says, and this is always going to be this way. Ken yeh tamid. What does that mean? What do you mean it's always going to be this way? And the pasuk goes on to explain, the cloud will reside upon the Mishkan, and there'll be fire at night. However, you should note that when the cloud removes itself and it will be removed, then Klal Yisrael should go to their next dwelling, their next camping place. Meaning, what happened over here, the psukim are teaching us that Moshe Rabbeinu created the Mishkan, he put it up. After he put it up, immediately almost, there was a cloud. At night, there was fire. This would happen every day continuously, as it says, Tamid. And when the cloud would be removed, Hashem would remove the cloud, then that is an indication, as we know, that Klal Yisrael should start walking and moving forward in life, going to their next dwelling place. And we know that is what Chazal teach us, that the cloud was symbolic of the idea that when the cloud doesn't move and it's hovering over the Mishkan, you should dwell there. When it moves, go to the next dwelling place. And the question begs itself, first of all, why is the cloud being the indicator of when they should continue to stay in the same place and when they should move on? Also, why is the pasuk not telling us Moshe Rabbeinu built the Mishkan? And why is the Torah spending so many psukim explaining to us what happened back in the day when they would dwell, they would move, when the Mishkan was put up? As we know, the Torah is a book of life. It teaches us, practically speaking, how we should live our life. There must be something more to what meets the eye, i.e., not just pshat. As the Gaon Mevilna says, there's 4 ways of learning the Torah: pshat, remez, drash, and soid, and they're all compatible with each other. It's like a 4-dimensional puzzle. I want to share with you what the Nesivos Shalom says to answer these questions, which is, part of it was a big chiddush to me, and it's very practical, and I will start right now. Hashem. Says the Nesivos Shalom, as we know, the Mishkan itself, which is the place where the Shekhinah dwelt, that was the home of the Shekhinah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We know that there's also a Mishkan in each one of us. Each one of us is a kli, is a vessel for the Shekhinah to dwell within us. As we know in Parshas Truma, we spoke about this, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a Mishkan, and then V'shachanti betocham, and Hashem dwelled within all of us in plural. What do you mean plural? Why plural? It should be Hashem, the Shekhinah, dwelled in the Mishkan. The answer is, as we know, Chazal tell us that it is hinting to the fact, al derech haremes, that each yid is actually a vessel, and that acts as a place, a base kibul for the Shekhinah to dwell within each one of us. And that is also what's being hinted here. And that is why Moshe Rabbeinu was taken away, even though Moshe Rabbeinu actually put up the Mishkan, but it doesn't mention Moshe Rabbeinu. It says it was put up. Why? Because it's symbolic of the idea that every time we move up a step in the spiritual ladder, we move up in spirituality, we should know that that is going to trigger, whether we like it or not. That is the spiritual DNA of the world, and we'll explain why. Straight away, there's going to be the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination is going to start fighting up against you. The Koiches Satuma, the impure powers in the world, are going to try to get you, because they're not going to want to let you move up in spirituality. And that is symbolic and represented by the cloud. The second the Mishkan was put up, the cloud right away was hovering over it. Not only that, when it came nighttime, which we know Chazal tell us, night represents the time of dinim, of more impure powers, as opposed to the day, which is chesed, which is purity. The night, there'll even be a fire. The fire, that's what it says. There'll be a fire at night. That's a symbolism of fire. The second we move up is spirituality. All the koiches atuma are going to try to get us. And hence, this is being hinted, and that is the way of life. Kadosh Baruch Hu made sure that in the pasuk it will say, this is how it's always going to be. Tamid, the second you move up, you put up your own Mishkan, i.e., you raise the bar of the spirituality within you. You better be careful. Be ready. Be up in arms, because the koiches atuma, the impure powers that Hashem created in the world, the evil, the Yetzer Hara, they're going to come and get you. And hence, Hashem is telling us, and this is a huge chap by Nesivos Shalom. Hashem is telling us, first of all, you should know Hashem's creating the situation like this on purpose. And that these koiches atuma, these impure powers, are hidden in the nisayon that you're going to be put in. All of our lives, a yid's life, is full of nisyonis, full of tests that HaKadosh Baruch Hu throws our way. As we all, I'm sure, if we think about our lives, we'll see it's full of nisyonis. This suddenly happens at a left field, and then this. And we shouldn't ask ourselves, I can't believe this is happening to me. Why is this happening to me? Perhaps that's your instinct, but you should teach yourself, no, this is life. This is life, because this is what life is all about. It's through these tests that we're able to grow. Hashem, even during dark times, when you have these tests, these nisyonos, Hashem is there. And that is what the Torah is hinting to us. That is why Avraham Avinu had 10 nisyonos, and we all have these nisyonos in these tests. And as the Midrash says on the pasuk in Tehillim, as the pasuk says, the Midrash says on the pasuk with Avraham Avinu with the 10 nisyonos, it says on the pasuk in Tehillim, Natata lirecha nes litnoses. What's nes litnoses? What does that mean? Nes comes from the word, we know Lashon HaKodesh, the root of the word is connected to many things. Nes comes from the word nisayon. Hashem is testing us. That's what the Midrash says. Every nisayon helps us move up in life. Leitnoses, what does that word mean? Leitnoses comes from the word nes. What's the word nes mean? It's the pole and the sailboat. That long, tall pole, it helps us grow, and you can see it from everywhere. We should know that the only reason we have nisyonos, and the reasons there are dark times, that in itself is the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu is revealing himself to us, because he wants us to grow, and he's giving us these nisyonos. And even in dark times, Hashem is there, and he's giving it to us on purpose so that we can grow. So we should know this is a diving board for us to grow. And the reason it says this is always going to be this way, because Hashem wants to tell us this is the way of life. That is why we were put here. We always have nisyonos. If you don't have nisyonos, you don't have any tests in life, you should be worried. That is what life is all about. And we have to realize that even during dark times, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there. But here comes the Moedike Chiddush of Nesivos Shalom, which is beautiful. Why is it that the cloud is the indication? When the cloud is hovering over the Mishkan, that is the indication that we should stay in our place and not move to the next camping place, says Nesivos Shalom. Because when you're going through dark times, when you have difficult times, most likely because you just passed a spiritual test and you moved up in life spirituality-wise, just now you have to concentrate in staying in your place from a spiritual perspective and holding on to what you achieved. Because if you're going to try to be a fool and continue growing when you're going during difficult times, you're going to totally fall flat on your face. Concentrate with all the energy and koiches you have to remain with the new level of spirituality you have reached and achieved. The cloud represents darkness. It's going to put a shade on the Mishkan. And hence, when you're during that time in life, hold on and don't move forward. As opposed to a fool, as Koheles says, V'hachsil b'choyshech hoylech. He tries to continue in moving upwards and forward in life, even when there's dark times. No, during dark times, you just wait. As the Gemara teaches, Rabbi Akiva says, when you have dark times and you see the waves coming at you, just know and put your head down and let those waves pass. You have to concentrate on holding your grounds and stabilizing what you have achieved. And when the cloud gets removed, which it will, then you move forward. And that is why when the cloud was removed, then Klal Yisrael moved to the next station in life. We all go through these camping places in life and we move from station to station. But we have to have this in mind, that when we go through tough times, first of all, Hashem is there And it's a test for us to be able to upgrade ourselves. Let's use it as a diving board. That in itself will get us higher up. And only once that cloud gets removed, that darkness, that time of difficulty, then we can move up another level. I want to add my own idea that neslit noses, that the nes itself helps you get up another level. There's another way to do that. And perhaps that's why it's the same root. A miracle. Nes is a miracle in Lashon HaKodesh. Also through miracles, when a person witnesses a miracle, you can say, it's nature. Or you can realize, wow, Hashem did an amazing miracle for me. And once you acknowledge that, that is also a diving board for you to move up in life. The Nesivos Shalom ends up by saying that the most spiritual, probably, event that happened in the world for Klal Yisrael is Maimad Har Sinai. We just had Shavuos. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah. And what was there? Of course, we know. The Pasuk tells us that there was also clouds there. Says in Nesivos Shalom, you know why HaKadosh Baruch Hu did that? Because he wanted to make sure you understand. In life, when you're going through dark times, it's also HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it's also for us. Because etzem the fact that we are able to withstand our grounds and the new spiritual level we have reached, that in itself is planned by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because that in itself will help us move up in life, in spirituality. I want to end up with two small, short ideas that perhaps HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it in the world to be this way, to hint us and be a constant reminder of this concept that Nesivos Shalom is telling us. And that is, we know that when there's a monitor to see how a person's heartbeat is doing, it moves up and down, because that is life. We have high times and we have low times that are difficult. We learned today that when we're going through low times, usually that will come after high times, which ironically is the same as the monitor. After a high time, we have a low point. But that low point, difficult times, we have to try to keep on and stabilize what we've gained in the high times, when we went up a level in spirituality. However, once a person leaves this world, and as we know, the game is over, because you can't reach a new spiritual height, then the line is just nothing. It's just a straight line. There's no highs, there's no lows. But I want to end up with a mice that happened to one of my Rebbeim, Rav Yisrael Arnon, Shlita. And that is a very simple thing, but it's a huge mashal parable for us, I think. And that is when he went to the dentist filled around with his teeth to see what's happening. And at one point, he was in such pain, he told me, he jumped out of his chair, the dentist chair. And you know what the dentist said? The dentist said, Baruch Hashem, if you're in such pain, that's great news. Because that means the root of your tooth is still alive. Because if it was dead, you wouldn't feel anything. I think the lesson that we can learn from here is obvious. Baruch Hashem, we're alive. Baruch Hashem, I'm sure we all have nisyonos, and I'm sure they're not so easy at all. But we should realize, even those miracles and those nisyonos are all coming from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to help us upgrade our life spirituality. And perhaps that's also the reason that the miracle of Purim was unique in the fact that it triggered Klal Yisrael to want to take the Torah, not by being forced, but out of love. Why? Because even though it wasn't the biggest miracle at all, but Purim was a miracle that it seemed like to be the time of darkness. Oh no, Esther's taken away. Oh no, now there's a gzeire on all of Klal Yisrael that they're going to be killed. But it's through those darkness, that was the diving board to get rid of the goyim that were against us. And we realized that Hashem is with us in the darkness, and that all of these nisyonis, these tests, are over there to be a tool for us to live life for what it was planned by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to get closer and closer in spirituality to the midos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Have a good Shabbos.
This concludes another episode of the Prism of Torah. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something valuable. If you did, please subscribe to the podcast and give a 5-star rating. You can also find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or our own website, prismoftorah.com, where we have a full archive of all our past episodes. We would like to thank Yona Vefa for the recording equipment and Eli Podcast Productions for handling all our post-podcast productions. Join us next week for another enlightening conversation on the Prism of Torah.